Welcome to another edition of Northern Heat. My name is Bob Lennon, President of ThermalWood Canada, host for the show. And today, our special guest, John Boulay. John, how are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
Not bad at all. So, John, you're from the area, but you kind of moved away. So tell us a little bit about your story and where you are today.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a little village called Beldoon.
Yeah, not far away.
And I started playing guitar at around age 10. My dad had a guitar at home, and he would let me strum it and pick it a little bit. And I was only really young. One of my first memories is just having the guitar on a stand in front of me and strumming it like that with my hands and enjoying the sound I created. So I decided to play music for the rest of my life, and I started playing seriously around age 12. Around 16, I was playing in bars. So I played all through my adolescence. When I graduated from high school, at first I went to Moncton for engineering, but then I decided it wasn't for me, so I switched over to music, and I did my bachelor's in performance at the University of Moncton. And then I went on to Paris, France, to do my master's degree, the equivalent of a master's in Canada.
Well, that's pretty impressive, and again, you followed your dream, right? And you went through it and realized that, engineering is not for everybody. But that's a pretty drastic switch from engineering to music.
Well, it is and it isn't, Bob. I find math has a lot to do with music, numbers, not very complex numbers. I always say musicians only need to count to 4. But a lot of people that were in engineering while I was at Moncton switched over to music as well.
Oh, really?
There were 3 of us, yeah.
Okay. So you made it to France, and then where'd you go after that? Because now you're back in Bathurst, but was there any other kind of detours in between?
A few, yeah. I went back to Moncton because I got a job teaching at the university, replacing a prof that was on a sabbatical. And my second year, they had hired me on part-time, and I was working part-time teaching out of a music school called La Guitare in Moncton. And I got a call from Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon. They needed a teacher for bass and guitar in a cultural center there. So I was going to be teaching what I loved, rock, pop, country, and I was going to be making a good salary, so I decided to move there.
Well, that's a definite switch. Out on an island in the middle of nowhere, but you're close to Newfoundland through there. But that must have been interesting living on an island because that's another different culture, right, altogether.
It was a mix of French and Newfoundland cultures, which is a very interesting mix. And the people there were so welcoming and warm to me, and I played in about 5 bands while I was in there with them. And learned a lot of new music, discovered a lot of new music.
Yeah, you would.
Met my wife, got married, and decided to come back to New Brunswick, and particularly to the Chaleur region.
So what are you doing now?
Well, since 2005, I've had my own music school in North Tedagouche. It's called École de Musique JV Music School. And I teach a variety of instruments. I teach drums, bass, guitar, piano, voice, mandolin, ukulele, banjo. And I won the Young Entrepreneur of the Year award from the CBDC in 2007 for it. And I've been playing gigs in various bands. In fact, I made a list the other day of all the bands I've played in over the years, and I made it up to 35.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. But right now I'm currently in 3 bands. I have an acoustic trio, Northern Heights, with Caroline Boudreau and Marcel Saint-Cyr. I have my own band, the John Boulay Blues Quartet. We have 2 albums out, a self-titled album and one called Dans les Ondes. And in that band, there's Denis Hachet on keyboards, Marcel Saint-Cyr on bass and vocals, and Luc Roy on drums. And in the Alt Rocks, which is a 90s tribute band, we have Charles Dumaresque on bass, Mike Goyette on vocals, Matt Lavigne on rhythm guitar, and Gino Roy on drums.
So you're mixed up with a whole bunch of different people that are in the music scene all at the same time, which is great, and all different genres and stuff like that. let's talk a little bit about more about the teaching that you do. So this is kind of a niche market too, right? And you coming with all that background's got to be good for that too, right?
Well, first and foremost, it was a passion of mine to teach that I realized while I was at university. I had a few students here and there, and I really liked to pass on the information I know and my way of seeing the guitar and the guitar neck and how to play to the next generation. And I've had several students come through the school that have decided to pursue music as a profession, which I'm very proud of. And maybe sometimes their parents were a bit iffy about it, but in the end, they're happy that their kids are doing something that they love to do and that they can make a living out of it. And that to me is the greatest reward from teaching.
Oh, that definitely has to be because, too many people go into jobs that they don't like and then they're miserable all their life. So if you're able to be able to pursue your dream and do something that you love, that's a completely different ballgame.
It's that's true, and it has to be true because you're always hustling. You're always thinking music. You're always thinking, how can I get new clients? And you're always taking calls. I'd wake up in the dead of the night and answer texts and get new students that way, and just all kinds of different ways to attract business. And sometimes you have to kind of go out and make it yourself, create. Like I do workshops in the schools. I had an idea to do a presentation on the history of blues music. So I did that in schools and Francophone music as well. I've done tours with the schools with Francophone music, and currently I have two projects on the go: the history of the blues presentation and a project with a Larville school. They want me to do ukulele workshops.
Okay.
And they want me to kind of revamp their theme song for the school, make it sound more current.
Well, that's pretty impressive. But let's look at looking at the Chaleur region and looking at northern New Brunswick as a whole, or New Brunswick as a whole. The talent of you mentioned you were in three bands, and there was only Marcel St. Cyr that I seen that you mentioned a couple of times in two different bands, but everybody else was different. There was a lot of talent in this area.
Oh, you just look at the Chaleur region. I mean, I could have a playlist on my phone for hours and hours of just local music. If you go provincial, it's even more. But I mean, of course, I'm going to focus on my own region.
Yeah.
There's bands. There's Calnan. There's a band called Matilda Ride with Danny Viano. There's the Rainbow's Edge experience, the Fleetwood Mac experience, also at Marcel and Denis, and the list goes on and on. I mean, we could sit here for hours and talk about local music.
Yeah. Well, it was one thing that I always found about here, and years ago we had got involved in organizing the Bay Jam, which was all local bands, but it wasn't hard to get 15, 20 bands geared up to do shows.
No, it's the problem I find sometimes is convincing venues of what a band is worth.
Yeah,
it's just to get them to pay a decent fee for our services. Yeah, because we do it all. Like, we're sound men, we're roadies, we have to play, and then after the show we tear down, pack up, and have to drive sometimes from Fredericton in the dead of night, and from Moncton in the dead of night, and that's the no fun part. But when you get on stage, you kind of forget all that.
You forget everything that's there. Lights on, stereo blasting. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you for any of to take any lessons, how do they do it?
I'm on Facebook. My school is on Facebook, and also they can call or email. They can email me at john.boulay76@gmail.com, or cell phone 506-545-8993, and my home phone is 506-546-9799.
Now that you've given out your number, people would be calling you up at 3:00 in the morning and say, "Hey."
I'm happy to wake up for any calls about business.
So, John, one of the things that we do here on the show and the people we interview is mostly to show that we've got so much to offer in our region, and you again are a prime example of bringing all your knowledge and your teaching knowledge to our region and allowing others to learn from that. And in recognition of that, I'd like to present you with a hat for Northern Heat. So
Thank you very much.
so now you got another one to wear up on stage when
Yeah,
you're there.
I love caps.
There we go. So again, appreciate you coming in. Appreciate the work that you're doing for everybody in the region. And
Can I mention one more group?
yes,
Because
yeah.
I just met this guy. Well, it was an old friend of mine, and he came over last night, and they have a new album out, and you really should check them out. They're called Harmonic Machine. They have their duo. They play acoustic guitars, and their new album is really phenomenal. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them, and hopefully they'll do well with this project too.
Well, and again, like you said, there's all kinds of talent in our area. So when if you're a listener here and you get a chance to hear there's a band playing at one of the local venues, go and check them out and support them because there's all kinds of talent in this area.
And sometimes it's free too, so
Yeah, even better.
really no excuse.
You're right. So I'm going to get you to finish off the show with a little bit of a tune here on with the Heat. You got her in your hands. You've had it for a bit, so it's been touring around and going to different musicians and stuff, and you haven't had a chance yet. So we'll get you to finish off the show with that.
Great.
Does that sound good?
Since it's morning, I'm going to play a morning song. For you.
Okay.
This is called Blues Before Breakfast. I got the blues before breakfast, I low down feeling for dawn. I got the blues before breakfast, I low down feeling for dawn. I got the funky old feeling that my baby's gonna leave before long. Well, I went to see my preacher. He said, John, it's a crying shame. Well, I was in to see the preacher, and he said, John, it's a crying shame. When a man can't save his soul, a woman give him hell to pay. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Best save them for a rainy day. Well, I went to see the doctor. He said, John, better change your ways. Well, I was in to see my doctor, and he said, John, better change them ways. You get the blues before breakfast, and you wind up in an early grave. But I went to get a second opinion. Well, I went to see my lawyer. He said there ain't no justice these days. Well, I was in to see my lawyer, and he said there ain't no justice these days. Oh, no, no. You get the blues before breakfast, the police come and take you away. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Best save them for an early grave. You gotta save them for a rainy day. Don't get the blues before breakfast. Don't get that boogie old feeling.
Excellent.
There we have it. Another edition of Northern Heat for this week. The place you come to listen to the stories that haven't been discovered yet.